So I took some video of this job we just arrived on to give some of our customers an idea. This is what we run into every time we pull up carpet, pad, tile, wood, doesn't matter. There's always some type of slab issues. I would say 99.9% of the time. In this case, there's epoxy there in the entry. You can see here the slab was never cleansed properly. There's adhesive. There's paint overspray, there's drywall dust, it's all caked on. There's a little clip of me peeling up some of that paint. In some areas the paint flakes up like this because it's so thick. In other areas it's bonded very well. But there's a musty smell when you pull up some of the paint. There's alkalinity issues in this slab. There's hydrostatic pressure issues with this slab. The issues go on, and because it was never prepared properly, it was never sealed, and nothing was ever addressed. This creates a ton of allergens for customers. We ground this entire part of the house, which we end up doing more of the rooms, you'll see in a moment. But we ground all this. We have turbo grinders, we have large grinders, small grinders, medium-sized grinders, and it all ends up in our 5-stage HEPA dustless vac system. There's also, along with removing everything, you see that large area I just drew a circle with my finger? We had to take all that down. There was a 3/16 area there, a hump that was approximately 3/16 high there that we had to take down. Then we removed all the epoxy in the entry. All those cracks we're going to end up treating. We're going to chemically weld those back together. I apologize, in this video you'll see, in all these videos, I keep the camera lower so as not to show the person's family photos or anything. This is another room where you can see one of our grinders. Now there was tile in this area, and it wasn't just tile and thinset. There's also, in certain parts of this room, there was slip sheet membrane. There was also an aquabar membrane, which is supposed to help with crack isolation. And that's a whole nother subject we won't get into. The point of me saying all that is, if you can see our grinder, it's taken away all that, whether it's the layer of thinset, whether there's any slip sheet membrane, any adhesive residue, drywall dust, paint overspray, and it leaves you with a brand new clean slab after we go over it with our machine. Because I mentioned before there was tile here before we got to this point, we also removed all the tile dustless. So all of our equipment has been modified to be able to be dustless. Some of our equipment we purchase from companies where their intention is to be dustless, like this Edco grinder, which is an exceptional company. However, we still modify it to be up to our standard. You can see the dust shroud, or the dust skirt as many people call it, on the very front there. As it's going over that thinset, it's following the contour. It's made of a special material. It also doesn't mark the walls if it touches the walls. We've modified the exit port where the dust comes out of. We've modified the wheels and some of the brackets on this machine, because when we're in a home, and the vast majority of our work is in residential areas, we don't want to have to ever make problems for the customer. We don't want dust. We want it to be clean. We don't want to have to cover anything with plastic. We don't wear desk masks. We want the customer to be able to walk around freely, speak, live their life. So we're very careful at containing and making sure that all the dust ends up in a sealed plastic bag outside the person's home, never inside the person's home. And as I mentioned before, any cracks we find, we'll chemically weld those back together, not just patch. Patch covers up the issue, it doesn't take care of the issue. As you panned out there and you saw, the very first time we go over the slab, all we do is grind and we take up all the large issues. Then we'll go over it again a second time and we'll make it perfect, which you'll see right here. So this is another room. We did the whole house in this person's home. So this is the second time we're going over it, and you can actually see that grinder. You can see how clean it leaves everything, and what'll happen is, if you see that white line along the edge, it's about Some areas a 1/2 inch, some areas an 1/8 inch. We'll go over it with a small grinder at the very edge of that and we'll get it perfect. And I wanted to include a couple before and after shots. Doesn't matter how dirty, how messy, how terrible that slab looks. We will make sure and make it perfect. In the flooring world, it's always more important what you don't see than what you do see.